Commissioner White.
Aye. Okay, next I have the Village of Morton Grove Cooperative Agreement. I move to accept the recommendation of the Finance Administration and Finance Committee to approve the changes to the intergovernmental agreement regarding the shared services between the village and the park district.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to say, it was overdue, and it was Keith that made the suggestion that the old one would compare, so thank you for that, because that was very helpful. You know, and I think that kind of puts us back in line with the village, and everybody's on the same page kind of thing.
Yeah, so if I might, so the reason why we brought that to the village was that, you know, we were doing parcels on, way on the west side, way on the east side. We were doing parcels across the street from parcels that the village was doing. You know, up along Dempster, we had the north side, they had the south side, and it was like, can we just kind of come to an agreement so that we can kind of cluster everything? That way we wouldn't have to load up a truck, take everything over, unload it, reload it, that kind of stuff. So the village administrator was great. You know, we added a couple of these parcels in here just to kind of, okay, it makes sense since we're in that area anyway. Can we get it somewhat proximity to a park that we're already doing just for efficiency? So it took a long time to go through this process, going back and forth with lawyers and making sure that we're doing everything. So this is just the parcels. This has nothing to do with what the village is providing to the park district. This is just related to the parcels. Yeah, yeah. But it does benefit us because one, you know, these are the parcels that we're doing. In the past, extra ones got added in without the change of the agreement. It's like, wait, so why are we doing this? It's not on the list. So now we're solid. We know what we're supposed to do. It's just nice to be able to refresh it.
Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Clay.
Next I have the full-time salary ranges. I move to accept the recommendation of the Administration and Finance Committee to approve the updated full-time salary ranges for 2019.
Any discussion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just want to say that we bring it to you guys every so often. So I think the last time we did it was 4 years ago. But that doesn't mean that if you want it sooner, you want to take a look at it, that's fine. The board does a great job of reviewing other park districts, trying to find comparables to make sure that we're trying to do the best job that we can to compare an apple to an apple. So this is what she kind of came up with. So, and I think I appreciate the effort that she went to make sure that that's done.
Yeah, I know you worked on that for a couple months. Thank you for the backup because that was very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
So the registration board in here is the new title now.
Yeah.
So building collection and rentals were the only additions to.
And refunds too, we just approved that.
Commissioner Banks.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Clay. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Okay. Next, I have the closed session review. I move to accept the recommendation of the Administration and Finance Committee to approve the closed session minutes and recordings, Resolution R05-18.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is, we talked about this last one about what we're keeping, what we're not. So this is just being, following regular rules for adopting the resolution.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Commissioner Clay. Commissioner Mann.
Aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Aye.
And last, I have the IAPD delegates. I move to accept the recommendation of the Administration and Finance Committee for the Park Board of Commissioners to appoint, which we will appoint for the annual business meeting. What did we have last year?
Yeah, so, hang on, before, that's a motion, who did, second? Okay, discussion. So, in the past, the board president was the designate. Vice president was the alternate. I believe, if we pick one, additional commissioner, and then myself as the third alternate. So follow that. So that would be Steve. Now, it is, can't remember. It's on.
January 26th.
Saturday.
19th.
Yeah, it is Saturday, and it's at 3:30. So you be there in the meeting. I'm sure Mark can tell you it's a great meeting.
Is some good information comes out, so we're
Yeah.
working with it, it's all, organized, it's together.
So we would put Steve, Paul, who wants to be the second alternate for commissioners, Dorothy, and then myself.
All right.
Okay. Great. Please mark your calendars, January 25th. That is, the conference. Again, it's a great opportunity to learn a lot of stuff because there's a lot of current district specific stuff, not like NRPA is great, but
Illinois is very good
Yeah.
compared to national.
Yeah.
It's going to go,
Pardon?
maybe a vote.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Vote for that.
Call roll call.
Do you want me to reread that?
With it in there, yes. Thanks.
IAPD delegates, I move to accept the recommendation of the Administration and Finance Committee for the Board of Commissioners to appoint Steve Schmidt as delegate for the IAPD annual business meeting, and for Paul Minks and Dorothy Coletta as first and second alternates.
I'll second it.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Coletta. Aye. Commissioner Mano,
Aye.
Commissioner Meeks,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt.
That's all I have.
All right.
Okay, so this next item is not an action item. Nothing is being decided tonight. Okay, but we do need to have, you guys need to have take this opportunity to talk about carpooling. Okay, I know that there's a lot out there circulating that we've already made up our minds. That we all know around the table that nothing has been decided yet. There's been talk about various things, but what? Nothing at this point. Okay, again, whatever we talk about tonight doesn't really, it certainly can provide direction, but it certainly not saying this is end all, be all, this is what we're going to do. That's something that we could certainly bring back in November to kind of formally say this is sort of what we want to do. I just really put some small things together about things to consider. We have a survey, right? We went to a great expense to figure out what that survey was going to tell us, and it's very clear when it comes to a pool what the respondents said that they want. Okay, they want it closed. They don't want it to turn into a playground or a spray ground. They don't sort of want it updated. They want something new, better amenities, that sort of thing. But it also talks about in there some unmet needs. Now that's something that you might want to consider, or not. I mean, we know that there's some needs out there that are not being met by the community, not just necessarily by the park district. So you got to ask yourselves, what is the right project, right? So we got to think about the space. We have to think about the potential cost. Can it be supported long term? So, based on our fiscal health, what does that mean for our project? What can we, really think about a project that we know that we can maintain in the future? Okay, and then maybe there's more of a multifaceted approach. Okay, it's a little outside the box. Okay, maybe a big facility doesn't make any sense in there. Maybe it's redoing the pool and thinking about something else somewhere else that can kind of do it. There's a lot that's in that survey, and we can spend the next year picking through that and trying to figure out how we can improve recreation programs. How can we improve on our marketing? How can we do improve in parks? So we can slice it and dice it a lot of different ways, but for tonight, while you're thinking about what is best for the community, best for that space, just kind of think that it's just not one small little area. And I think, I think by having this discussion and keeping an open mind to other opportunities, we're doing our due diligence. No one can come back and say, you should have done this, you should have done that. Well, we thought about that. We didn't think that was right. I don't want to say, it's just in the past that maybe it's not done this way. We're trying to set a future direction that as decision making, this is sort of the procedure that we're going to follow. Okay?
Yep. So, I'll open it up. And I think I was probably one of the strong proponents of having this discussion because I think that obviously it's a pretty highly contentious issue. I think we all know that. And, it's hard because when you're out on the street and you're talking to people, when you don't have a direction or if, the board hasn't had a conversation about the direction we want to go, then I think it's tough because we don't have a unified approach. And when you don't have things to say, people can lose trust in the board. So for me, personally, I wanted to have a discussion because I think if we can have some type of a discussion and at least try to find some type of direction to go in, we'll be in a better place than we are now and be able to kind of move forward. So I don't know what you guys think about that or not think about that.
Well, I know definitely we're gonna put a pool there. Start there. Are we gonna enclose the pool? I don't know. I'm not in favor of build a rec center there. I mean, it's an open park. So many people come up to me and said they don't want to see a building in that park because it's such an open park. We're taking up open land, and I think we're under the amount of land we're supposed to have as a park district. So I would think that if we put a pool there, maybe we can do something in this building with the things that people were requesting in that survey, walking track and things like that. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I think it's hard because you're right, we spent money on a survey and that's what the survey, had come up with. But I also feel that it's not reflective, of what everybody really wants, or at least what I've heard. And you look at the pool and you say, okay, what is the path of least resistance? How do you make everybody happy? Well, you can't, and you're not going to make every single person happy. But if you take away the fact that Howard Pool is broken or on its way out, and everything was fine, you wouldn't have any aggravation. But the pool's broken, so what's the path to least resistance? To try to fix the pool. Well, we know if we fix the pool, we're going to be putting millions of dollars into a pool that's already on its way out. So if you fix what's there, or if you renovate what's there and put a new Howard Pool, kind of in the same way that it is, my guess is you'll probably have the path of least resistance, and it'll probably be the most fiscally responsible decision. That's just my opinion on it. I think, a rec center, things like that are great. I mean, if you want to add something in as far as the seniors go, you can do a senior section in the pool, but not compromise the integrity of the pool, because I think, at least, and this is just my opinion and what I've heard, the hard thing with Oriole pools is that it's a compromised small swimming space, and I don't think people have enough space to be with their kids, and that's just what I've heard. Again, it's maybe not what everybody thinks, but that's what I've heard. I think with Howard Pool, it's an open space. There's a lot of swimming space there. People like the sun coming down on them, being able to, be in a larger swimming pool. So I think the path of least resistance is to try and not change, as much as we can. And my input is just try to fix what's there, put a new version of Howard Pool, keep it the way that it is, and try and do it at the best cost. It's just my opinion.
Now Howard Pool is twice the size of the main pool at Oriole, is that correct?
Yeah, I think
what's
Oriole's
I'm
was
sorry,
25.
Mary, what is the patron capacity at Hart? 750-ish?
700.
700. The capacity at Oriole is 1,000.
But that's the whole aquatic center. What's the pool hold? The main pool?
Main pool.
I don't think they divvy it out.
Okay.
Deck space.
Yeah, it's all about deck space.
560 or
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is the pool itself physically twice as big? the main pool over there versus,
Lengthwise.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I think
But
that's
you're
what
just talking
people-
about a 25-yard versus a 50 meter,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Because that's what I think people like. They like the length of that.
And even if it's not that much bigger, the perception of it to people is that
Yeah.
it's a lot bigger and a lot less crowded.
Well, I've heard mixed reviews regarding wanting an indoor pool, wanting a bigger walking track. But from a lot of people I've heard, I don't see signs out there hanging over a fence saying we want an indoor pool. Okay, it's a safe harbor pool is what I'm seeing. Okay. Of course, I'd like to have an indoor pool, but we also have to look at being fiscally responsible. We also have to look at the increased operating costs of that. Obviously, a referendum's going to be needed, but I think there's a lot of decisions that need to be made of what direction to go to. And again, you're not going to please everybody, but let's look at every angle of it. So.
I think we learned a lot from the survey, but I think we probably need to have some more input from the residents, like we were talking about having something at Powerful, like a open house, or, a lot of it is hearsay or what people have heard, but from my understanding, I mean,
Well, the question is how do you
really
do that, because, do we send out a task force? Now, I'm just saying, we have to figure out some type of direction, right? Because
Well,
we're,
yeah, but
But
a
having
little
an
more
open house
input,
to look at.
a little more input from the residents would be helpful, if you ask me.
yeah, no, it wouldn't.
So, the way I see my role is, and staffs for that matter, we serve the board. Whatever board decides that they want to do, staff will make that happen. I think my role in this discussion could be more of a devil's advocate, saying, well, what about this? What about, have you considered this and whatnot? So, please understand that if whatever I may say is just me making sure that we have flushed, everything out. So I understand the need for more citizen input, but I don't think that you're going to find people not in favor of replacing our pool or looking for something bigger, going to be wanting to come out. I don't think they're motivated in that way. You have a Safe Harbor Pool group that is strongly motivated. That's what they want. That's what you're hearing from within the community. I don't think I don't know, you might have had a couple of people just say, you know what, we need an indoor pool. You said it, but you're getting questioned more by those that want to Safe Harbor Pool. And if that's the direction that you guys want to do, that's the direction that will go. The thought of having something over at Harv was more sort of informational, or just, hey, come take a look at what you can't see during the season. You can't see the crunchiness of the floor, you can't feel the walls, you can't see the sagging liner, that sort of thing. So it really gives them an idea of what we're facing in the springtime. Because depending on it's colder now than it was last year at this time, and the thoughts of this winter is supposed to be, I believe, probably a little bit, yeah. So, yeah, so we have that to deal with. I understand that community input is extremely important. You guys are the ears, the eyes and ears of the park district. You're out in the community, you hear that's every time. Sometimes we have to make a decision that may be contrary to what we're hearing from other people. And we have to think about what's in the best interest of the community as a whole, not just a small group of people that you're hearing from. So please understand, I'm just saying that so that you guys can hear it. Because I don't want it to be a situation where we're trying to give you the right information. We're trying to challenge you, just as you challenge us, to think bigger picture, outside the box sort of thing. So, again, I had thoughts when I saw the survey, oh, how cool would it be to kind of do this, but, that was just sort of me just, brainstorming or whatever, but so now you guys, again, I hear, 3 pool, kind of things, but, are there other options for us? I don't think there's an option to do a walking track in here, because that, one, it's on the bottom floor, we can expand out and maybe up a little bit. We need programming space. One of the things that we see in the survey a lot is, why can't you be more like Niles, or why can't you be more like Skokie? It's like, well, we can't. We don't have the facilities that they have to offer different things.
Maybe take a little lead off of you, Jeff. I think as a board, we need to look, talk about fiscal responsibility and programming space, this walking track. I think we need to look not only at our, but at this facility as well. This was built as a nice facility, not for indoor programming and preschool and all the other programs we try to run. It's a challenge for staff to even try to think of doing some programming here because we don't have the space.
Right.
Indoor pool, I'm not a big fan of indoor pools because of the maintenance, the wear and tear of the building that happens. But my challenge to staff would be, how do we program it before we build it, before we do it, and how, what's our revenue potentially could be, not only for an indoor pool, but more programming space, another gym that has bleachers in it, for example, so that people can come in and watch the games. I'm not an advocate in any way of doing that kind of facility, but I think as a board we need to look at all that. And whether it's concept drawings or something else to motivate the public to do it and to take a better look at it, have a better understanding where this park district stands financially. In 10 years down the road, we're going to be looking at this building going, what are we going to do with this now? The facility's getting older. Windows are being replaced here and there, but we still have a long way to go to make it efficient. And then how efficient is it with all these little tiny rooms? We have 13 rooftop units on this building. It's kind of goofy, but we have to because of all the different rooms. And they're all solid concrete, so you can't exactly tear walls on. So I think just from my standpoint, in my opinion, is we take a long, hard look at our, and I understand, people are talking about open space and those other things, I get that. But we can't expand on this building going forward toward Dempster because of the way it's constructed and what the manats are up there. You can't even get, how do you get people from the front or back of the building, whatever you want to call it, to Dempster Street side.
Where would you want to expand them?
Right.
Where would you want to expand them?
I wouldn't want to expand this building at all, myself personally.
But I'm saying, is that something like, where is another space that you want to?
Ours is about the only place we have the room to do it for parking, the other considerations, or this place, or this property, but you can't exactly knock this building down and build a new one, because I want you to do with everything that's housed in this facility. So we would gain space back, maybe, there's all kind of different ways to look at this. We build a new facility over there, maybe we tear this one down, and this becomes the green space that replaces that space over there, but not increase it.
Can I ask the staff something? Is the programming space that big of a challenge here? Do you guys feel that way?
I mean, we have to make new programs all the time, but all the rooms are booked from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. every night here. The gym's booked every day of the week. Every weekend we have rentals in the gyms, rentals in the pools.
Gerald can tell you it hasn't changed in 15, 20 years. It's still the same building and the same challenges. We've been struggling.
Yeah,
we've still made it.
Let me be, we struggle with finding space during peak times when people want to be, here, when they have the availability. You can go into the gym at 10 o'clock in the morning on the Monday, and it's open. It can sit idle from 8 until noon. Okay, but that doesn't really sort of help us. Sue can't expand fitness programs because we have dance at the same time. Dance doesn't want to go upstairs because it's not a dance floor. you know, we can't offer early child enrichment programs on Saturday mornings when parents want them because we just don't have the space. You know, the problem is that we can't get into the field houses. Field houses are dedicated program spaces from September to April.
I think our biggest dilemma is we're still paying for Oriole Pool. I mean, how much money do we have in the bank that we can put down on a structure? Do we have anything, or is it gonna have to be full referendum to cover the entire project?
As far as the our pool, the whole, yeah, you would have to do the whole thing. We have set aside money so that we can start, you know, when the bonds are callable, that we can, you know, cut into what is owed. But, what is it,
That's
70%?
the goal, right?
Yeah, 70% of our capital dollars, the 1.2 million that you just authorized, goes mostly to that.
And I think that's our biggest problem.
Yep.
Well, it is, but, you know, we live with what we're given, so we do it.
But my question is, if we're already in debt $6 million and we're just paying on that now, and like I said, if everything was fine over there, what's the path of least resistance? What's the most fiscally responsible thing?
I know, it's being in a position of responsibility is,
How is it a Band-Aid if you build a newer version of Harbor Pool and, you know, you ask people just to replace what's there? My point is, if you just put a new pool, that's what
We
I'm,
still lose money,
Well-
so there's no revenue at a pool.
so we should just fix it?
No, Steve, I think you're just in a hole.
No, I'm not, because I'm not understanding. I mean, my point is that if the pool was fine, you wouldn't have any aggravation.
I think the biggest question,
And we still have
what would it
programming
cost?
space
Yeah,
problem.
What would it cost to put a structure there? How many millions of dollars? It's, what, about 6, 7 to put a pool there?
no, well, we spent 8 on Oriole,
7.2.
7.2, we're paying back 11.
Pay back 11.
Okay, okay, let's remember that we had the Williams report done. We can't just replace what's there. I mean, we've got mechanical issues.
No, I mean.
That's not what we're saying. We're saying
talking about building
build
new pool.
a same version, a newer pool of
All the
what was
amenities.
there.
Updated.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
fix
no.
it, and I made that clear. I'm saying build a new version.
What would that
What was
cost?
there,
Do we have
What
any
would that
numbers
cost?
or estimates, or?
No, we haven't done it
Is that number in the Williams report? I can't remember.
Is it,
I think
there has to be.
They're at 11 and 13, weren't they?
right, 9 at least.
So 11 to 13
So
million
that-
to,
But
so now if you put a structure there, rec center, whatever you want to call it, how much more is that going to increase?
well, that's one of the problems that we couldn't put that number on the survey because we just don't know the scope of it.
Because what scares me is we're looking at that $11 million, we're looking at about a $75 per $300,000 household.
Yep.
If we go out for more money, the whole thing could fail. And I think that's the big thing you got to consider.
yet. Well, again, we had
So we're
especially
over $6 million in that pool.
Right. I think if we weren't to that
pool wouldn't be
memorial.
structured the same, that's what we're going to go here too. We wouldn't get the financing for this pool the way that Oriole was done. So there's a huge difference. 7.2 is the cost
Yes.
of Oriole,
Yes.
and we're paying back 11.
Right,
So
because
the way the deal was structured, yeah, we're losing money.
Yeah, they listed 8, but they put in replace the facility, installing bathhouse, pool equipment, let's see.
We still owe $6 million regardless. We're still in debt $6 million. So no matter how you structure it, my point is if we owe $6 million and we're in debt and we're starting to pay that off now,
yeah.
you know, and then we add another
Whatever.
$75 to people's taxes, I mean, and then you want to ask for more, I'm just trying to understand how that's
Well,
fiscally responsible.
what we issued tonight, and Marty, maybe you can go into a better explanation, doesn't show up on the tax bill. This is what we're able to do within our authority, it doesn't show up on the tax bill. The referendum, Marty, you might want to,
Well, there's a lot of issues swirling around, so let's start one, bonds that you want to go out for referendum. Those will be bonds that will be supported by a dedicated tax source, tax levy. You could have bonds similar to revenue bonds. Those revenue bonds are what you build Oriole Pool with. They don't require a referendum, they just require a notice to the public that you're going to sell bonds. And if they don't object, you can sell them. The problem is you don't have a dedicated source to pay them. So it starts with now your dedicated dollars from other sources to maintain your buildings have to come over and replace your bond and interest costs that you need to repay. Now, the issue with the bond at Oriole is that it had a 5-year interest only. So we're not making our first principal payment until December of this year. We can't call those bonds until 5 years from this December. So your Oriole pool is Oriole pool, and it's kind of, now, Harbor pool, if you build it the same way, you have to realize that those are the same kind of costs you're going to incur. Pick your choice. The second thing you have to remember is that Oriole pool and the combination of Oriole and Harbor pool lost on our balance sheet or our financial statements for last year around about $258,000. Now, I would bet that, I can't remember the exact breakdown of either one, but you could break them down about half and half. So if you take the path of least resistance and decide to build another Harbor pool, first you're going to have to sink a certain amount of money to the dedicated source. Then you're going to have to somehow build that pool up to a point where at least breaks even. And I don't know if how the community feels about running a pool that will always be in the red or not. That's an avenue they want to take, but it needs the asset, and it's also, we have to always remember, it's a 90-day asset. So whenever it's operating, it's going to operate for maybe 12 weeks, maybe 14 weeks. We're pressed on one side from the schools and lifeguards, we're pressed on the other side with the schools and lifeguards. We have weather problems, we have a lot of various issues. So I'm not taking a position one way or the other. I'm just saying that if you decide that this is the way you want to go, I can come up with some kind of numbers, or at least on how the financing part works. You're still going to have to go and make a decision on what you want so that you know what kind of amount of bonding authority you're going to need, or what kind of internal bonding authority you're going to, not internal bonding, but what you're going to use the funds that you have in the bank right now that you can possibly use, which will then restrict you maybe for other purposes down the road. Because there is a certain amount, you do need a certain amount of money in the bank just to operate through the ebbs and flows of the cycles of the year. You can't spend everything down and then say, and plus you have statutory requirements, things that you have to hold money, a certain amount of money. We like to hold approximately 50% of our fund balance for every fund that's statutory, and then the remaining funds, which are racked in the corporate, we try to keep 25%. So, so that's, I don't know if you had any questions.
Yeah, so talking about, how we would be able to program it, since we really can't have a single-use facility. Space is such valuable, open space, usability. So Oriole has the Palm Room. We're able to do a few things in there throughout the year. So if we did something more hard, we would try to incorporate something that we could possibly, additional revenue. And then